We are on.
What up, what up, what up? What's good, everybody?
We are on the radio.
Check it out, check it out, check it out. Oh.
Here it comes!
What we got this week, cousin?
What up, Scoopy?
I'm good. How are you
I'm
doing?
alright. You know, feeling good, feeling blessed, loving the vibes of where we're kind of, growing and taking pop radio, where we're growing and taking popcast.
Can we give a shout out to ourselves for just maybe lowering Doritos into the
I'm just saying though.
Shout outs for bringing the hook up once again.
You know, my chips simnanti. Anyway, you'll check that out on the POPcast in case you're wondering exactly what we're talking about. But who we will be talking to today on the Pop Radio episode is somebody who is behind the scenes of the music industry. And I think it's important for us to speak to industry players, not only just the artists, also so that you can find some information from them. Maybe you want to be an industry player and not necessarily an artist. There's a lot to learn from people like that.
We actually do need more of you guys wanting to be industry players than artists.
Exactly, because it just grows the culture a little bit more, and it also makes sure that we treat ourselves as a business.
More
you know what I mean?
Omegas.
Yes, more bash visions.
More bash vision.
Yes, less shishiliza. I'm kidding. So today we're going to be chatting to Munya Chanetsa.
Chanetsa.
No, it's Chanetsa. Chanetsa. Hey, I keep getting it wrong. But nonetheless, we're going to make sure he pronounces it correctly. He's going to be joining us today in studio, just chatting about who exactly he is, what he does in the industry, and why you need to pay attention. But some people that you need to be paying attention to right now are some really hot artists that are, shaking things up for us, especially here in the studio of the Pop Radio. Scoopy, what you got on your dial?
Yo, I'm like so into Ghanaian music right now. I'm feeling them like Lawe.
Lawe.
So there's a girl called Gyaki.
Okay.
Gyakie. She's got a song that's being dispersed throughout the DSPs right now. It's a remix to a song called Forever. She features a guy named Omale, and the track is called Forever. You will see it on your DSPs like floating around. Do check it out. Gyaki from Ghana. The G. Trying. Huh? I'm trying.
Yeah, because you keep saying like on the continent. Yeah,
I'm shy. I actually want to talk to Munya about that. Hopefully he can help us out.
Yeah, and you can just send us some artists, All right, so I've also got an African artist, but this artist is living in South Africa.
Sure.
He goes by the name of Fake Ano. He's also from Zim. But he initially came into the scene doing like a lot of like trap sounds. So rapping in English, doing a lot of the, typical trap type of sounds. But he's just recently dropped an EP. It's called African Boy. And on the EP, he's totally gone left. And he's like, okay, the trap stuff, I see you.
Nice.
But now I'm going back to my roots. And he's done like a full on, I think it's a 5-track EP. No, it's 7 tracks actually. And it's very Afrobeats type of vibes. Yeah. So very original. Love the sounds, love the direction. He's doing a lot of it also in Shona.
Nice.
Which is really awesome to kind of hear him in a different vocal, because I see him a lot of the time with Tuli Stark. He hangs out with Tuli Stark. He used to be Tuli Stark's hype man. So if you've ever seen Tuli Stark perform and there was a guy kind of behind him jumping around.
What's his name again?
Fake Ano.
Fake Ano,
yeah. So check him out. African Boy, the EP is really dope. He's just dropped a single featuring Spum called Moyo.
Spuma is so talented.
She is talented. More of it. We need more of your vocals. Baby girl, please give us more music.
Straight up. I love the fact that you touched on like this artist that went on a different direction in terms of the EP. I was chilling with painters in Cape Town, and these guys have something called a residency.
Okay.
As a painter, you might be known for a specific style. When you do a residency, you make it your point to go out of your way to go to a different country, live with different people, different language, different food, and you paint in a way that is unrecognizable to your old way.
Really?
And I was like, fuck, that is such a dope idea. Whereas in music, you have to be the same thing over and over and over. People don't give you that freedom. And I guess that's really what mixtapes are for.
Yeah.
That's really what EPs are for you to go to a different place. even if it's unfamiliar for us fans, then to come back when you do come back. But just to hear the concept of a residency, I was like, fuck, if this concept could be used into music or artists could follow it as musicians, it would be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's also just about expanding the mind. Because as an artist, you also don't want to be stuck in a box.
Yes.
You want to be able to
Some of them love getting stuck in a box.
Hey, and then you stay in that box.
And sometimes it's a funeral box. No, as in their careers are dead. As in the careers are dead. They might be still alive, but their careers are the walking dead. Sometimes they are dead. Also, that happens, guys. You die.
Anyway, I think before we get a little bit more cryptic here, we're going to jump straight into our interview with our guest. We're about to bring him into studio. Welcome, Munya.
Yo, Zimbabwe, stand up!
So we have our guest in studio who is going to be joining us for the conversation today. We do have, I don't want to say this wrong because sometimes Munyaradzi or Munyaradzi? Munyaradzi.
What does it mean,
Chanetsa.
Munyaradzi means the peacemaker.
Ooh.
What's the name?
It means problem.
The peacemaker of the problem.
It's one of the other.
Because you've created the problem and now you're trying to make peace.
To create peace. So
no wonder you work in the music industry.
It's the right place to be. It's the right. There's problems. There's problems that need peace.
Yes,
no doubt.
There's very big problems in the music industry. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it greatly, man.
Shout out.
Yeah. You're one of those industry players who's been in the industry for a long time. But I think a lot of artists might know you because they've had to deal with you from a back-end perspective. But obviously some of our viewers might not know exactly who you are because you're more of a, the worker, the guy who makes sure that shit gets done. Exactly. But obviously just with a little bit of your history, you did some big work with CCA. You're now working at Sony. Can you just break it down for us a little bit? Exactly what is it that you do?
Okay, so should I explain the career path or just what I do now?
Career path and
career path. Okay, so my first taste of the industry was like in 2009 in Cape Town, where I started working at a record company called Putumayo World Music. So they deal with a lot of these compilation albums. You find them in airports. There's really nice artwork. So I used to do promo and marketing for them. That was my first taste of the industry. And then basically the company didn't want to expand into the rest of the continent. So then there was no real point in being there. So there was an opportunity to join Content Connect Africa. So that was in, I think, the end of 2009. And that's when I just packed up my bags, came up to Johannesburg, and that's where the journey of Content Connect started. And there was a lot of evolution there where, I started off, I think, just as promotions and marketing, and then responsible for licensing. Then eventually that grew into head of operations for the continent. And actually at Content Connect Africa, and a big shout out to Content because that's where my career actually grew because they gave me opportunities to travel the continent.
Nice.
And that is what was actually, that opened up a lot for me. And God led me to the right people because wherever you travel, places like Nigeria and Ghana, and there's a lot of people, there's talkers and chances, but somehow I've always been led to the right peeps who do the job and deliver. So that was always dope. And that's helped me and my reputation in the industry as someone who delivers because that's what's key.
Yes.
From there,
wait before you let it go, what does Content Connect Africa do so that people get that as well?
So Content Connect Africa is an aggregator, which is also known as a digital distributor. So their job is to take your music and your content and to place it onto different online platforms where people can download and stream and the like. So, and they do caller tunes through the networks, and caller tunes, and a lot of people sleep on caller tunes.
Yo, there's so much money in caller tunes.
Hard. I can categorically tell you that whilst I was there, Content Connect, I can't say names of who, but after the networks took their cut.
Cleo, yes. Because he even won an award for caller tunes. Come on.
A couple of years, actually. He was like back to back, 3 years.
Guy.
Summers. He was running things. But people, after the networks take their cut, after Content Connect take their cut, I've seen cats walk away monthly with checks of around 600K.
Wow.
This is no joke.
Is this continental or local, country-wise?
This is actually from local, funny enough.
Yeah.
Through caller tunes.
Because caller tunes also are very it's very nonchalant. Like sometimes you get mama who have these ringtones and they don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's like subscribe every week for R1 and they're like, oh, R1. Meanwhile, it's like taking off of your airtime. This person doesn't even know when you call them.
And it's always the mamas.
It's always the mamas because the kids come from Joburg. They go home as Lalini, but the phone gamakulu, but she call her tunes, and then she's subscribed. Yeah,
and then she subscribes. Every week 50 cents is coming off. She doesn't know, but it adds up. It adds up. So, but caller tunes. The things about caller tunes, which a lot of people don't know, is that the majority of us sitting here, we all have smartphones, and we think everyone has smartphones. But the reality is, in the continent, we're still a minority. Smartphones are still a minority. So most people still have dumb phones or what we call feature phones.
Damn, they call them dumb phones?
Dumb phones, yeah. So caller tunes is the easiest way for someone who can't, who's not WAP enabled and can't go online. This is how they express themselves. So you listen, when you call them, you hear a song that they've chosen. It's a way of expression. So that's dope. So yeah, Content Connect, outside of caller tunes, they used to do the usuals, the iTunes, the Spotifys, the Deezers.
Do they still
Jukes.
operate till today?
Still operating till today. And the company's actually evolved. I mean, whilst I was there, I was part of the team that helped expand we built offices in different countries, in Uganda, in Ghana, in Nigeria. The plan was just to export and just get content out and it worked. And I know the company's now evolved now. They're doing their own. They've got the online radio going. They've got this OTT, a streaming platform, video streaming platform as well. So they're still out there doing their thing.
And your specialty now, because when we research, Sony Music comes up. What are you there? What's going on?
Okay, so from Content Connect, what happened? So I was at Content Connect for like 9 years, and then from there, I think, and I was actually very confident I understood the industry. I got a call saying that there was an opening at Capasso. So in between Sony, there was Capasso, which is the Composers, Authors, and Publishers Association of South Africa.
Now, one thing before you move on to Sony, I think it's also important for you to also explain what Capasso does, which is different to like a SAMRO or a SAMPRA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Capasso is one of, I think there's 4 collection management organizations in the country. So there's, as you mentioned, there's SAMRO, there's Capasso, there's SAMPRA, there's RISA, and there's ECHO as well.
Okay.
So just to differentiate what the different ones do. So, because a lot of people actually do get this confused, and I hear it happening
and
a
I
lot.
know artists also suffer with this a lot because they'll put the music out there and they don't know where to collect it. And then they'll find that their song is killing it on radio, but they're like, okay, but I still don't have money. Yeah.
So it's important. So each CMO, collection management organization, does something different. So Capasso, where I was, and I was heading up the licensing department, we're responsible for the collection of what we call mechanical royalties. And by the way, SAMRO and Capasso, just so it's also clear, SAMRO and Capasso only work with composers who are producers, basically, songwriters, also known as authors, and publishers. That's who they don't really work with performing artists, if I have to differentiate, because we're all clear that not every artist writes their own stuff. Not every artist produces their own stuff.
The ghostwriters of the world.
Exactly. And actually, in actual fact, I always feel that in Africa, it's almost like it's still frowned upon, as in people still hide it, as in people sign NDAs to make sure you didn't know that you wrote for me, what. But that strangles, it kills the industry.
Straight up.
Because in order for something to work, all the functions need to work hand in hand. But then some people are shadowing these ones. But anyway, so going back to what they do. So to get it straight, SAMRO, Capasso deal with composers, authors, and publishers, also known as songwriters and producers and publishers. And their job, so Capasso specifically deals with the mechanical royalty, which is also known as the reproduction royalty. So let me break that down a bit. So basically that means that when you make a song, you make one master. Now, when you want to get it distributed, it's not like that only master is the only one that's being sold. Copies are being made in order to sell. So you're buying a copy of the original. When you buy a CD, when you go to, well, rest in peace, Musica.
Yes, Musica. CD Warehouse.
When you go to when you went to those spots, you wouldn't be buying the one original. You're buying a copy. So every time a copy is made, there's basically a royalty that is accrued. Actually, that there's a royalty that is due to you for being a songwriter or a producer specifically. And a lot of people don't understand that. And because a lot of people think you can just go, you buy a beat outright, I own the song. But unless the producer or songwriter has explicitly said, I'm giving you my rights, they always retain their rights. So they actually are always able to collect those rights, which are the mechanical royalties, which Capasso Capasso collects, and Samro collects another one for composers, authors, and publishers, which is the performance royalty.
Sure.
So now performance royalty, not in the sense that we know performance gig. Performance by definition here is anywhere where a song is paid publicly. There's a royalty for you being a songwriter or a producer that is due to you.
And by public, it's radio, it's TV, it's YouTube, it's everything.
Anyway, where it's just even technically, it's extreme. I was saying, even in my car, if I'm playing music outside, it's crazy. That's
true.
Extreme,
no, but it is because that's
yeah.
where the DJ fee kind of comes in as well.
Realist.
Because I know there was a time where obviously the DJs were also kind of like looked at like, yo, do you have a DJ license? Because it played to that where we're playing other people's music, so we should be paying a fee for that.
Absolutely, you need a license, and a license is just like a driver's license. It gives you permission to drive on the road. So just the same as you said, the right example, DJ, they would, and Samuel actually does issue a DJ license, and it just gives you permission to play these guys who own the rights for their music, just giving them, just paying a license. That's it.
Can I ask you, in terms of what just happened, are you familiar with the Fenty Rihanna?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because Busiswa is a
member.
She's not a member. She's actually a Sony. She's signed to Sony Publishing.
Okay.
So, I was going to say we'll get to that, but
sure,
we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
So it's a bit complicated because she signed to us, and I remember a week back, I think it was a Saturday morning, I was seeing it, and I remember I spoke to my team, and so basically what we had to do is we needed to backtrack before we could do any action, because at this moment in time it felt like an infringement, but we needed to make sure. I do know that the team research was done, number one, to make sure that it wasn't licensed out from, because when she signs to us, technically all the different Sonys can also license her music.
Yeah.
So we had to first check to make sure that no other Sony had licensed her music without our permission, like the New York team or whatever. From there, the next thing, what we found out is that actually there's another gentleman who actually creates sound-alikes. I think his name is Kwezi or something. I can't remember his name now. But he makes sound-alikes and he puts them online and the like. I think actually if you go online now, that version which we heard. So Fenty basically claimed, from my understanding, that they licensed it from this dude. And
is that legal?
It's
is that legal? In terms of composing, what are the limits? You know, when you read it on the internet, I'm sorry to take you through this jargon, but this is why you're here, you know?
It's important.
What are the limitations when you compose? How far can I make something that sounds like something?
Yeah, because isn't there like a rule with regards to the sampling about how close to the original it sounds? Because I know that also kind of ties in with like you mentioned, compilation CDs where there's a lot of people who perform covers. Yeah, and they also sell cover albums.
Michael Bublé, I don't know if that guy makes original music.
He
just
does
straight covers. I don't understand why you guys love this guy. Damn, like white people, are you that desperate?
And also, and it's tricky because he's talented. Like, dude, make your own stuff.
Yeah, he could do his own thing, but 2 nights in a row.
It's working smart, guys. That's working smart, though.
He chose a lane and he's sticking to it. He chose a lane.
His foot is flat.
Yeah.
Fuck. But I mean, so like someone like Michael Bublé, for example, I'm sure that his team basically have to clear the rights.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, and money is exchanged when that happens. And that's how it works. So you'd have to find the composers and pay them to say, listen, we want to do a cover of your song and we actually want to release it commercially.
Yes.
And that's a different discussion and you have to pay different amounts. And it's actually up to, when you're a rights holder, you have the right, you don't have to accept everything. You can actually say no. Hence why I think of end of last year with Nicki Minaj and Tracy Chapman.
Yeah, and she heard the Nicki song. She's like, Nappy, I don't want you to put that out.
Yeah, Tracy was definitely
I think Nicki actually approached her, and then Tracy said, nah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
Then Nicki then on her show, I think she just played it, and that's when Tracy was like, And that's what happens. There's repercussions.
Back to Busiswa.
Okay,
so there was no crime there, and they didn't get, because people just want to know, are they getting paid?
No. Compensation needs to happen. And so one of the things that I know on my side, I'm not too sure, that it's going back to actually who owns the rights as well for that title, because there's a number of different players. There's Tira, there's Pori,
Munya,
Distraction Boys. Distraction Boys.
Yeah.
I've even heard of another name came up recently, which I wasn't aware of. And it's just now, we also need to do a check across the board to make sure none of these guys also, because you might what you can end up finding out is that someone could have granted permission, cut the check, and then quietly
and kept quiet.
It happens though.
That's why when you have too many people on a song,
It's
just
too
like
much.
it's a
That's
lot
why
going on.
paperwork is so vital. That's why it's important to have contracts.
But that's the thing, is like it's so awkward because when you're making music and you're in the
In the
vibe,
vibe.
it's like organic, like jump on, everyone gets a verse. I know we're rocking, we're going on
You don't
stage.
just come there with 24 pages.
Exactly. We're gonna go and perform the song tomorrow because we're gonna be on stage. And then when it's like, okay, let's get paid, everyone's just like, naming fun maliam. That's exactly what's happening. Well, it's a big conversation now, which I know is happening in the piano space. With the Reese Madlisa and the Zuma guys, because they're all just like, yo, we want this cut or whatever. And it's a big conversation because I don't think they get the paperwork aspect of where the music comes. They just jump in studio, record what they want, and then they just want a fat check from
100%.
where.
It doesn't work like that. And actually, in actual fact, that's even what's inspired me to do in my own hustle, my own personal hustle. Is I'm building a brand called MOTI, which is called Masters of the Industry, and it's all about knowledge within the industry, because I think the creators are all right in the sense that we've got the creators and they're talented. We actually need to encourage a new set of people to put up their hands and say, okay, you know what, we don't want to be in the spotlight. We don't, people like me actually, I need people like me to actually stand up with me and to say, we don't want to be in the spotlight, but we want to understand so that when the vibe is happening, as you explained, the artists don't have to worry about it. Let that person he must put up his hand and he'll walk away with the other guy's manager or whoever, and they can walk
how
away
hard
and
it is
discuss
chasing artists who are at Boris' house until 2 in the morning. You don't want to be there. Do you know how many people at Boris' house at once? I know, it's tricky. So I don't know if you're going to catch all of those people on paperwork, but you can try.
But it has to
you
happen.
can try,
because it's something which it has to happen. Otherwise, we're going to keep fucking up.
Sure.
That's true.
Isn't it
That's
something
true.
which, as much as we don't like it, it has to happen.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
a must.
In terms of like, are you guys involved? Which body of collection and which body of administration becomes involved when it's time to sell a song or license a song to an advertising agency or company for adverts? Like, how does that work?
So now we're talking publishing.
Yeah.
That's actually publishers now, and that's where I am now. It's Sony Music Publishing. We dropped the ATV recently, so it's now just Sony Music Publishing straight. And so the roles of a publisher is basically 3 things. Number one, and again, publishers, because again, one of the things that people get confused is you hear publish, and because the word in English means to make available. When I talk to a lot of people saying, do you need a publisher? They assume I'm talking about a distributor.
Yes.
So a lot of people are always like, yeah, I got a publisher, CD Baby. I got Content Africa. I've got the Orchard. But the reality is...
Tunco, I'm out here.
That's what people are just, I'm nice. And I'm like, no, you don't have a
different
publisher.
thing altogether.
In the music world, publishing is about 3 things. Number one, and by the way, publishers only deal with songwriters and producers again. That's unless you're a performing artist who writes your own stuff. Hence why we'd have signed something Soweto, Busiswa, Moonchild, etc., because they write their own stuff, so they can
Shout out to them.
And they write for other people.
and they write for other people.
Yeah,
Shout out
because
to them.
remember we had the conversation with Moonchild when we had her in for Pop Radio. She says like a big portion of the money she makes is from
Other
songwriting.
people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the roles of a publisher is to, one, as a songwriter or producer, is to protect your works, to make sure that nobody just takes your stuff without your permission or without compensating you. That's the first thing. Number 2 is to make sure you're getting the royalties that are due to you from the CMOs. So technically, if you're signed to us as a publisher, you just need to notify us and say, listen, I just did a song. I'm splitting up 3 ways, 33%, Cosmo, Scoop, Munya. And you just need to notify your publisher. Your publisher will take care of the rest. We will then make sure at the collection management organizations, that's the SAMO, the Capassos, that you're registered and will collect your royalties. So that's the second thing. The third thing, which is now what you are talking about, is it's about just getting you more work as a songwriter or producer. I'm not signing Moonchild because she's Moonchild. I'm signing her because she's a songwriter.
Sure.
And that's the skill that I need to utilize.
Sure.
So my job is when I say collaborating with other artists, it's not collaborating, not featuring. It's collaborating in the sense you're writing or producing for someone else.
Sure.
When I'm finding you work, it's placement, and that's where we're talking about synchronization deals, and that's where we're talking about. And as definition, synchronization is when you put music with moving pictures. So that's why it falls under adverts, because there's film playing and you play music. That's a sync. In movies, there's music in the background, the mood music and all that shit, and there's music. So that's synchronized. Those are all sync deals.
Under the same thing, okay.
So the role of the publisher is to make sure that you're getting placement, because also in publishing, that's where the guap is.
Yeah.
Sure.
That is in the under synchronization deals. That's where cats
TV.
eat. Yeah. TV,
money.
movies, games also now, because games have become a thing where people are pushing for the likes of FIFA and to get your game in Grand Theft Auto.
That's so true, because there's a lot of songs that I only heard because of like a FIFA or whatever the case is. Yeah,
100%. So that's where the sync, and that's where synchronization. That all falls under publishing now, and that's the sphere that I work with. So my role is A&R for Sony Music Publishing for the continent. So my job is to find producers and songwriters. Actually, that's it. To find the hardest producers and songwriters, sign them to Sony, and get them work. And then also on the other hand, if you're a songwriter or producer who already has works, it's about commercializing what you've already
and making money.
Making money from the works that you've already done. Because I mean, that's why cats like the Jacksons, Michael Jackson's family is gonna be nice forever.
Forever.
Forever, ever.
I just wanna dial it back to the same conversation with the Busiswa Fenty situation.
Yes.
Obviously, you guys are still in talks.
Yes.
You're still trying to figure out who sold you out because everyone trying to get their check. But you mentioned this crazy person who is making these sound-alikes. Yes. So from a legality perspective, obviously he's allowed to kind of make those remakes, correct?
Some people actually have jobs making sound-alikes.
Yeah.
Because it's usually cheaper than getting the original.
Exactly. So now my question also comes in, for instance, like even Questa, because you guys, I think, were publishers for Ngutu when the BMW advert came out.
I think I joined after.
But either way, was that also like a similar situation where it was just like a sound-alike kind of sold to BMW? And also, do you not then take a BMW to task to say, dude, like Questa's here?
Yeah.
Like, why must you go and get something like when you want something originally South African? Why not just get the guy?
That's the problem, and it's like a double-edged sword, because I understand business, and in business, people. So everyone wants to hustle you down, and sometimes the problem is when you holler a Questa. Well, the problem they find is when you holler a Questa or a Busiswa directly, the check is a lot bigger, whereas these sound-alikes are a lot cheaper in comparison. I know that there are actual people called musicologists, because there are arguments, and there's people who are trained to actually to make sure that a sound-alike isn't the actual song. Otherwise it's a problem. Otherwise that's an infringement, and you've copied the song and you have to pay up. But yeah, it's like everyone just needs to do better, actually. And I even think locally we need to do better when it comes to music supervisors, actual music supervisors who have deep in-depth knowledge of catalog and music, and they can actually assist in making sure that these mistakes. The BMW was
that one for me was like completely bad. Yeah, especially because like sometimes you can kind of like brush it off with Fenty, because you're just like, okay, well, Rihanna doesn't know who Busiswa is.
Yeah, she wouldn't.
Do you know what I mean?
She's probably not even involved.
Exactly. She literally just posted something that she was given because it's her job to post. So obviously you still gotta get your check though. You know what I mean? You still gotta get your check though.
Amen.
But it's disheartening as an artist, where you sit back, because I could see like even with Questa's tweets when the whole BMW thing happened, he was just like, guys, and the way I love your brand so much, Questa's a diehard BMW fan.
It was easy.
Like he spends money at BMW.
Been easy, guys.
And it's like, why would you just not approach it? Young DM on the Instagram.
Business is business.
BMW also did it with they got them Swanko, Polo. They just took the whole name. And I think with Maluma, it's like, they'll do it because he's going through so much under fire.
Oh, yeah.
And he can do it and they'll get away with it. But it's happened so many times where I've really understood that these companies take advantage of our lingo, but also on the other end, us as the hip-hop community do not register our terms. We don't own our slang.
Absolutely, that's true.
Can you talk about that and how people can get that done?
I mean, and that now comes down to trademarking stuff.
Trademarking.
And
so copywriting, publishing, trademarking. These are three. Copywriting is what?
So copyright is basically, the copyright is it's hard to describe what it's just. Copyright is when you own a copyright, that is, you own the right of refusal, basically, to allow someone to use your work.
To reproduce this work.
To reproduce your work in any way, shape or form.
And publishing?
publishing is now the three things which I said where you as the copyright owner, you work with me. And I have to make sure that three things, no one does it illegal, no one takes your stuff illegally, you're getting your royalties for the usage, and that as a songwriter or producer, I'm giving you more work. That's publishing.
Then the last one would be trademarking.
So now when trademarking, that's putting a stamp on stuff. And I don't understand why we don't do trademarks more here.
We don't. I mean, the other day I heard an advert on radio where they were like, you must rest. I was like, how, guys?
We don't trademark.
I mean, now that's taken like...
At all.
We just don't think, I mean, for a nation that couldn't own land, do you think they're going to think they can own words?
Yeah, true that. Yo.
Yeah, it's tricky. But I also find... now that we're talking about copywriting and trademarking, in this industry as well, there's not that many entertainment lawyers.
Correct.
And I find that also just a little bit of a downfall from a law perspective. And maybe I get it because maybe the lawyers themselves kind of feel like there's not much of a business. But that's the tricky part for me, is that we're also not creating the business for them to specialize in this field. Because it's such a big thing, such an important part of the music. And there's so much money that could be made. But everyone's just like, as long as I upload CD Baby, tomorrow it's up, we're rocking.
That's the problem. Music is actually, people have lost the value of music where... Because it's so easy to make music. True. I'm telling you, people are looking at any questers, and there's someone today watching any quester track and saying, I can do that. Because it just feels easy. You just go download Fruity Loops, you do your thing. You don't even need an actual mic. You can use your headphones, you can record the vocals, you have a song, you then go TuneCore or whatever, you upload it. And the trick is, and I call it one of the big lies of the industry, people believe in this overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Everyone has a track record. People have been grinding for, it's only an overnight success because you've only heard of them since then. So you feel, I've never heard of this person, but you'll find out for the past 10 years. But because music is just so easy, that's why people don't even think that, to even think that there's a business side. They really don't. People don't even think that there's strategy involved. You have to understand branding. There's the key team players. There's a business manager. What's the difference between a road manager and a business manager and a publisher and a distributor? And these are key people that are legal, which is the biggest actually. All these key things which people don't understand, that these are the things you need in order to be successful.
Do you know what the problem is? It's too many people to pay.
That's true. It's expensive.
We're not making enough money as artists.
It is very expensive.
And we sit back and you're just like, where am I going to get the money to pay this guy? Where am I going to get the money to pay that guy?
There's two things. And that's where I'm trying to come up with a solution for this. But that's why I say it's like business. If any business that you're going to start, it's like you need capital. And that's a fact. And that's why I'm saying that music has to be started. You need to start looking at like business. Like, I need a business plan. I need capital. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do an album. How much is that going to... You see how much it is. And if it means you have to save, borrow, beg, steal, then you know what I mean. Do what you need to do. That's part of the hustle. That's how business is. The principles are exactly the same. Because anyone could want to sell glasses and they'll be like, where do I get the guap? You have to hustle, and that's it.
In terms of like institutions where people could go study, are there any institutions, courses where people can go study?
So whilst at Capasso, so that's why I was real confident when I joined Capasso. I mean, when I joined Capasso, I thought I knew shit until I understood there was this whole world of copyright, and that was after I've been in the game for 10 years, and I was like, how? If I don't understand this, then anyone who wants to enter, what chance do they have? But one of the dope things at Capasso, they covered the cost for me to attend the Academy of Sound Engineering. And that's where I did a course in a masterclass in music business. So a lot of the stuff I was aware of. It's just the whole publishing copyright world was completely new to me. I had no idea it existed, and it didn't make sense to me. But I have a better understanding now. But yeah, Academy of Sound Engineering for sure. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, they're based in Auckland Park, there by the SABC.
Sure. Just opposite
I think they're putting in a lot of work, especially for new school, students, whether you are an engineer, whether you just want to, even for visuals as well. They've got a really great academy out there, so go and check them out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, and on my side, and that's why I just said, I got tired because, even we were talking earlier about how Kanye West just got $30 million check for Netflix and what. And, even since I joined Sony, I see the deals that happen, the amount of guap. But in Africa, those deals are non-existent.
Yeah.
They're a lot less compared to what people are working with outside. And I think it's just because we just haven't got our shit in order. And that's what actually drove me to say, let me create an online platform. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm working on an online platform which is going to be for free, called MOTI Africa, which is Masters of the Industry Africa. And it's going to be predominantly video content explaining.
We need that.
Just the same way I'm explaining to you guys right now things. Just explaining, just creating a narrative. Because what I've seen also online, there's nothing that joins the dots that says, okay, I joined Samro, I need to go to Capasso.
Yes.
There's nothing that says I need to go to
We need a
Samro.
step by step. So like once I leave the studio.
Yeah, from the minute you make a song.
Yeah.
What's
After the
first
vibes.
thing? After
Now
the
that I'm
vibes.
sober, where do I
What
go?
must happen?
That's actually necessary.
And that's actually what I've been working on in my own time. I'm looking at launching it this month.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. And at the end of the day, as I said, it's about a movement. Because the other thing about this industry is that we also we just know there's shit happening, there's fucked up shit happening, but we don't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
We don't know who to point, as in people know there's things happening at Samro, but what exactly? No one really knows, but you just know Samro's a problem, or this one's a problem. But the problem is also as an industry, we don't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
And all of me actually wants to educate to the industry to the point where we are asking those questions. Why aren't we, even things like having a union that works?
I was also about to get into that as well, just to also kind of ask, even from a connection perspective, because obviously having gone through COVID, right, artists were the hardest hit, and we're all still trying to survive, if not trying to patch things back together, because it was rough. It still is rough. I'm not even going to act like it's past tense. It still is rough right now, more so for performing artists, because they can't be on stages, whereas us DJs, I can be at News Cafe. I'll still get my check, but I'm just asking from a perspective of, what's the connection, or how do you find the corporates are also kind of working together with like a Department of Arts type of space? Because at the end of the day, we also need to figure out as artists how we hold them to task to help us. And a lot of the time, because we don't have direct access to the Department of Arts and Culture, we would rather than go to people like you, because you might know someone who knows someone, and we don't have access to some of these boards. Do you guys work with each other often enough to then say, okay, we've just done that with the arts and culture, or maybe we're doing this, maybe we're working on a project here and there, something for the artists as well?
I'll be honest. Well, to my knowledge, there's no like record like what you've just said. Now
there's no sync.
There's no synergy. Let me say, everyone is just doing their own. It's just things are just happening. Money's there, disappears as an issue. Money's there, and it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't even know the right questions. It's just all happening at once.
Yeah.
We don't even know we don't even know who to hold to task.
How would artists go about starting their union? Do they have to, how does that happen? Do they have to have a core group of people?
So I'm actually even in the process of even trying to start a union myself, but I think in my head, I even thought it's a bit premature even yet to start a union, because as I said, we don't even know the right questions to ask. People don't even understand the problems right now. And that's why it's like, for me, it's like, let's build step by step. Let's educate people, or whichever, that set of group of people, I want to call them motis. Let's educate these motis, these masters of the industry, and to the point when there's now a union for composers. There should be a union for authors. Even little things like, I mean, the fact that the likes of, we're talking about brands, any insurance kind of brand, an artist's life is so different from the average person. And when I say that, like, for example, I might have a guitar in my crib. I don't know. It's just there for decoration. Whereas you use that guitar. That's your livelihood. We both get broken into. Guitar gets smashed in the way. It's a household item for me, but how can it be treated as a household item for you as well? You know what I mean? And that's what happens. Even the amount of travel y'all do. As in, there's so many things which I always think that, why aren't even insurance company? We need to tweak things to just...
Insurance companies actually even stopped insuring artists last year. And I say this from experience, because I used to have something called an income protector. So basically, if, for instance, I don't know, I break my arm and I can't DJ for the month, I am able to claim from that until I heal, so that I can earn an income, because I can't DJ. COVID came and they were like, it's a tricky time. We can't be insuring artists right now.
So what happened to your premiums?
So, no. So I had one and I was trying to change to another company, and that change got halted because of COVID. And for me, it's like, you guys are running away from the problem when you...
It's not right.
You know what I mean? But insurance is a scam anyway. It's another conversation for another day.
But I mean, until I think the industry, I think at some point, I mean, I understand peeps have their beefs and all that, but at some, not even beefs, I'm talking about as industry players. You're competing against each other. Everyone wants number one spot, and that's cool. But at some point, we all need to be able to put that aside and be like, okay, wait, let's talk about the business of this. What's happening here? Something's not right. And be able to sit together and come up with solutions. Because what I've also realized, the likes of the CMOs, the collection management organizations, every year they host annual general meetings, AGMs. And if you're a member of a Capasso, of a SAMRA, or what, you have a right to be in that AGM. You have a right to even voice anything because they'll even give you the financials. You see everything because they try to be transparent with everything. And you can actually either one, you can spot things and be like, wait, why is this like this? We don't understand why. And they will have to explain. And they will, because the way it works is the CMO. It's almost like a CMO is like, it's like not volunteer. It's like, it's an NGO. It's a non-profit organization. So their job is to collect and distribute. But when it comes to solutions, we need to not just point at the CMOs and be like, you guys are collectively, at some point, we need to also sit and think, what is the solution here?
Showcase.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It's the most in-depth conversation I've had about music with not a musician. Right? It's been deep.
You feel like your head is exploding just a little bit.
It's necessary.
Yeah, so that's obviously like the more technical side to things, but there's more to you than just being the guy in the office.
Yeah.
You're also working on something called Create Africa.
Yes.
So you're obviously just trying to join creatives throughout the continent.
So Create Africa is the company which I've registered, and so even the project that this MOTI thing is falling under Create.
Yeah.
Okay.
Masters of the Industry falls under Create. Last year I did a project whilst I was at school, that's when I learned about this whole the Solomon Linda story. I mean, the one with Lion Sleeps Tonight and how the family were cheated and all that. Oh yeah. Okay. So basically, I'll just quick recap. 1938, a gentleman, a Zulu man by the name of Solomon Linda, and his squad do a song called Mbube. That song then.
Mbube.
Mbube.
Okay.
That song then basically what happened is somehow. And this guy was illiterate. And there's actually a whole documentary on Netflix called The Lion's Share. The family, because there's different stories. So the family say that this man was illiterate. However, somehow there's a signature document of him signing away the song, which then the song then went to America. I can't remember the name of the people, but then that's when they couldn't hear Mbube. So they were hearing Wimbowe.
Yes.
That's how it transformed into a Wimbowe.
Yeah.
And then it transformed to Wimbowe.
The whole of the Lion King is just...
And then suddenly it becomes Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Yeah.
And that song, I mean, when I was last looking, that song has made over $60 million.
Yeah.
Now, what the fucked up thing is that music is an asset.
Yeah.
We don't treat it like it, but it is an asset. An asset where, just like any asset, if I pass away, my heirs can earn off this.
Yeah.
So the problem now with that happened with the Solomon Linda family is that the family was being screwed. They weren't being compensated for this at all. And then only when it got raised, and now this is where it also gets tricky, they found some local lawyers here, and the lawyers initially were the knights in shining armor, but they did do the job to get Disney's attention because Disney was initially ignoring these cats.
Yeah.
They get Disney's attention. Disney, I think what they did is they froze the assets. So now Disney couldn't, and within South Africa, they froze all Disney's assets. So Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. So that's how they got Disney's attention. Disney's like, cool. They come to the table. Now where this fucked up shit happened was the family were never part of these conversations. Now this is where the legal team or these NDAs were signed. And I believe the legal team were instructed to form a trust. And that's where the money was being sent to. The family have no idea how much money was ever sent into this trust. There were no family member was part of this trust, so that's a problem. And then outside of that, then that's where I said that the knights in shining armor.
$1 million.
Dollars.
In rands, that's like $1 billion.
Dollars. Yeah, that's $1 billion. So
a lot of money,
and I mean,
man.
so the family have never been compensated, but I think there was an arrangement, and in the end, the family I think walked away. I think the figure they said was $250,000.
No, man.
$250K.
No, man.
Can you doesn't someone like a Lebu M who was
Part of the
Lion King supposed to also kind of answer to some of these questions?
I don't know. He didn't
He signed
compose
his
it
part.
because he didn't really compose. As in, if anything, he could have stood. I think maybe he could have stood up and said something, but he wasn't. That song had nothing to do with him.
Oh, it wasn't his song. He just did the
He does other tracks. He did other tracks to do with Lion King, but not this track.
And he signed his check
Yeah, no, he's nice when he is.
Yeah, here running. Yo, did Cosmo get paid? Shut the fuck up and go spend your money. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Not even a young meter, Joe.
Nah, fam. It's painful. So I remember, and I learned this through the studies, and that's when I said, you know what, this ain't right. And for me, that's when I was like, you know, this industry needs healing. And that's when, shout out to, there's a Cuba and Boki Alt, these two producers, DJs who produced the song for me. Because now I said, let's not worry. That story's been told in terms of the injustice.
Yeah.
We know it. If you want to watch it, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
However, I'm like, let's change the narrative, because that's what we need to start doing now. We need to learn to change.
We need to stop dwelling.
We need to change the narrative. So I said, let's recreate a new version of Mbube, because I did my research. The original song was now out of copyright.
Yeah.
So it's in public domain. So that means when the song is in public domain, that means you don't necessarily need to go to the original rights holders. It's public. Anyone can kind of use it.
Okay.
So the song was in public domain. The original Mbube, the one made in 1938. So I remade the song. I managed to get the legendary Mautela Queens. They jumped on it.
Wow.
We recreated the song, and what I did is I gave 45% of the copyright to the family. Because and all of this happened.
One thing I get
It's all good. But and this was all with the permission of the family. I engaged with the family, because now I know that the trust, they're now shifting it into the actual family now, which is crazy that last year, and this is last year actually, that only last year the family are now
Good
understanding
timing
the trust.
with COVID. I'm sure they needed it.
For real.
Yeah.
And so that project, which I call it Happy Endings, the Mbube story. And ideally the purpose of that was to do two things: is to create healing, because I think this industry needs healing, because there's a lot of shit that's just happened. A lot of money's disappeared, a lot of people have been hurt. And then the other part was to educate. And what I've been doing is I've been documenting it. So there's content to back up everything that we've been doing with that project.
Yo, Focalistic, please get a hold of him and sort him out, whatever. Because I mean, he's about to like get really, really major. You know, everything that he says, everything that he does.
I think he's with Africori, and I understand now Africori has started going into publishing now as well. So I believe that he signed over to Africori side.
That's dope. That's dope. All right. So obviously with Create Africa, you're trying to do bigger things, and you're trying to unite the continent.
Change the narrative.
Yes.
Educate.
Yeah. So what other countries or what other projects are you doing within the African space that we can kind of then maybe research or, you know, pinpoint as well?
I'll say the biggest one again is just the MOTI Africa one, the education one, because I've seen that it makes my job harder having to have these conversations every time, because that's what the conversations I'm having with you are the conversations every time I'm sitting down with someone. It's like we're still in kindergarten, but
you're so patient.
That's the thing. We're still in kindergarten, but we need to elevate to another level now. That's when, if we can get to university, then I think we'll start seeing checks, because then we can value the industry. Things are working properly.
But then I wonder, when did things change from understanding, or maybe they never understood it?
I think they never did.
I'm just asking from a perspective of like the likes of Miriam Makeba and the Hugh Masikelos of the world, who were traveling internationally, making big monies. But for them, was it them just making money because of performance and not necessarily?
I've got a feeling, well, I think they probably did get cut the check through the publishing and stuff. They probably did get a check, but in terms of, do they understand it?
I don't think so.
I don't know if they.
I also think living in the States might have given them
some information.
Yeah. I mean, they hung out with the Quincy Joneses of the world.
Real talk.
You know, so it might have helped them, but I still think the money they did get wasn't what they should have gotten.
Yeah.
Especially being exiled and traveling, you know.
It never is, yo.
Yeah.
And that's the fucked up thing about business is there's no friendship in business, and we're just trying to get the lowest as possible. So, and if you don't know the right questions, you just chow whatever's given to you.
Sure. So you're so patient.
Patient.
I just call it and get into the game. My head needs a break.
It's about to pop. It's a lot. It's a lot to take on. It is a lot to take on.
Yeah.
But you're obviously doing big things, obviously at Sony as well.
Yes.
Do you see yourself kind of staying there for much longer, from a perspective of like, what else do you want to get into? What else do you want to grow within the music industry? Because you can only report to someone for so long until you want to, you know?
The person I look up to is the Black Godfather, Clarence Avant. And I mean, he's the ultimate connector. And that's how I want to be on this continent, where if you need something, whether on any side, whether you're a brand and you're not too sure that, hey, is this on Questas? Or whether you're an artist who doesn't even understand what to do, talk to me.
Okay.
That's how I want
where
to
are your
position
satellite
myself.
links? Like you've got obviously here in SA, where are your links? Kenya, Namibia,
As in
Botswana.
Sony,
No,
as in
just you.
personally?
Yeah.
Me, continentally, so locally, SADC region, I can confidently say, within East Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, West Africa, Ghana, Niger, and also Angola as well.
So you can be our plug in letting us know which musicians to look out for. Because we have a
Absolutely.
segment in this show that we have to like talk about our continental artists.
Absolutely.
And I'm always falling short, dog. So I need to take your number and let you know.
Talk
that
to me,
it's
dog.
about link.
No,
Yes,
100%.
Yes, because we
100%.
also, I think the reason why I insisted on that feature as well is also just so we can broaden our minds to stop thinking only South A. You know what I mean?
have to.
Because that also slightly also places us in a bit of a territorial type of space where we feel like we're only going to listen to
Yes,
ourselves. We're not going to listen to what's happening in the rest of the continents. And I think it's important for us to start integrating, even if it's something just as music. It doesn't have
Music
to
is the
be
easiest
personal.
thing.
Yeah.
Because we're already doing it. As in Foka, Davido. Now they announced
Sure.
they're doing a 4-track EP.
You lie.
It was announced,
lie.
4-track EP is about to drop with those.
Foka?
But you see, it's
That's
already
gonna be
there.
crazy.
But all we just need to just join hands.
Yes,
That's
yes.
it. And join hands and fuck up shit, because we have the ability to be, when I say a superpower within the entertainment. Africa has everything. We are the heart, yo.
We are
doubt.
definitely the heart of the world. But yeah, man, it's good to see your energy doesn't die for this industry, because I see a lot of people who get into it and they're just like, oh, artists. Because like you come in with this passion of I love music, and then you deal with a lot of egos, and then you're like, hi, artists, I don't know if I want to do this thing anymore.
Tricky. I know. I've had my day. There's been certain times where I've definitely reconsidered going into farming, but I feel that a lot more. And even with being at Sony right now, because even the fact that songwriters and producers are slept on so hard, you know, as in they're the forgotten creatives. So I'm happy to be in the space I am, because I want to shed light on the space. I want to show people that you can make guap in this space and make a living. I know the signing we did last year, which I was very happy about, was Nontlebo, who wrote and sang on Jerusalem. And I mean, I was very happy
How
with that
crazy
signing.
was that? Was it in Spain or something? That
Where
white
hasn't it
lady,
been?
Sure.
that white lady who was wearing a full-on like mask, who was performing Nomcebo songs, but it's like, dude, you could have just booked her a flight. Like, why did you have to do the whole like Mrs. Doubtfire dress up?
Is that the black lady who was actually
She
white?
was
No,
white.
she was white,
Yeah.
and but from my understanding, it's a competition where they do that, and
Oh,
because even in the
okay.
same episode, that's why actually context is very important, because that just happened. But then
So
even
they
in
have
the
a
same
competition
episode,
where they try and be black?
No. So they choose different artists. So she chose Nontlebo for that. In the same episode, there was someone who did Michael Jackson.
Okay,
In
why
the
they
same
gotta be
episode, there was-
black though?
Huh?
Why they gotta be? We can take you as white doing Michael
And doing
Jackson.
the thing. I think that's the whole thing, is you're meant to dress up as the person.
No, but
Hey.
like this was full on Mrs. Doubtfire vibes. Like, like the skin, everything, the whole mask. Because when she took it off and she was blonde, I was like, Aibo, what's going on here?
It's scary.
Yeah, I know
It's
blackface
weird.
isn't condoned at all.
It
Yeah,
isn't.
No, true.
But I also think, that TV show needs to be, I don't know, something must happen, a complaint or
Different strokes
something.
for different folks, I guess. Let's get into this game.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into a game where we're going to, chat, just, have some lighthearted fun.
Okay.
We're going to see your actual knowledge of the music industry, because being a publisher, you need to know everybody's government name. Do you know them all?
No.
All right, we're going to get into that, as well as a little bit of 30 seconds.
Loudy loud.
All right, so we're going to kick it off with you. You are going to start with our game section for today. So you've got 30 seconds to explain to us what's on your card, and hopefully we'll be able to get it right.
Do
Ready?
actions.
No, it's not charades. It's 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. Okay.
Are you an actor now also?
I wanted to do, actions will help.
Showcase.
I know you've always wanted to be an artist, actually.
It hot.
All right, let's go.
Okay, club in Santon.
Taboo.
No, it's an underground one.
Ooh,
It's
Black
one of the new.
Dog.
There we go.
Oh.
It's a shoe brand after a cat.
Cat.
Caterpillar. No.
As in the brand.
Puma.
There
Puma,
we go.
yes.
I know, I'm trying to think how to do this one. The opposite of when you're cooking, you have to. Sometimes when you're cooking food, you have to
Marinate.
When you're like
Stirring.
there we go.
Yeah,
Shake. Oh, damn it.
The
What?
stir up.
A stir up. Cosmo
Oh, come on. That's the name of my radio show. Yaga. Come on. No, it's okay. Don't worry. All right. So we have a few names that hopefully you'll be able to give us. Hey, Dimples always comes with. Do you know what my problem is? Is that I have to pronounce them. And then if I say it wrong, then I'm in trouble.
But I already know that. Hey. I'm ready to catch my L's. It's all right.
All right. So name the rapper.
Okay.
Yo. Kwame Ametepi Tsikata.
Kwame Ametepi. Kwame.
He's from Ghana, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it not Joe Boy?
I
Fuck.
think he's from Ghana.
Yeah. Okay.
Kwame,
Smooth.
definitely.
Yeah, it's Kwame.
It's Manifest. He is Ghanaian, right?
He is Ghanaian.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
right. All
With a
right.
big M.
Yes. All right. Jabulani Tsambo.
That's an easy one.
Lani Tambo, real name.
Yeah.
You know, you
Guys.
deal with people's government names every day
Guys,
as
no,
a
the thing
publisher.
is-
This is your job.
He's not around. He's
Focus on
not,
the talent.
he was big before. He was big in merging sounds. He's not around anymore.
Yeah.
He's out.
Double H.
Yeah. There you go.
Get it.
All right. Genesis Gabriella Tina Maney.
That's Gigi LeMay.
Yeah.
Which Genesis?
Her name's Genesis.
Yo, she should marry a Revelations.
Thank you. That was
No,
necessary.
that's not the one. It's not the one. All right, and the last one, Maya Christina Shichavo Wegriff.
Oh, Maya, you know this one.
Maya, Majosi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I always struggle with like her third name because I'm just like,
Is that the one that starts with a G?
yeah, and I think I said it wrong because it's obviously Tonga. So maybe I didn't say it right. Please don't hate me, Maya. I still love you. Let's make some music. We're
That's
out here.
allowed.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
No,
we
thank
did
you.
do it.
No, we did his
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
We did his questions.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for your knowledge.
Appreciate a lot.
Just drop also some of your handles if people have questions for you.
For sure.
As well as the website again, so people can check it out when it does drop.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, on most social media, it's Munya Chanetsa, my name. Except on Twitter, it's Illumuniati.
Issue.
ILLU underscore Munya underscore TI. Illumuniati. Because we're trying to illuminate shit. With regards to the website, on the platform, as described, I'll be breaking down the narrative. If you want to start in the industry, what you need to do. There's going to be certain functions where there's also a function called Ask a Moti, where you can actually type in questions. And the idea is that every Monday, Moti Mondays, I'm going to be answering questions that you submit. So please do that. And on there, I've also created what we call a digital split sheet, so that in the moment when you've just done the song, you don't have to now be thinking about printing paper to do splits. The digital split sheet,
We
you
have
just
a
go into
feature
your
for
phone
you on one of
and
our
do
shows.
best.
Yes.
Between POPcast and POPradio.
Something's gonna
we
come.
definitely have a
Education.
feature. Yeah.
No, let's make it
Yeah,
happen.
It will
I'm
definitely
down.
work.
100%, I'm down.
Yeah.
They need to know.
Straight up, dog.
They definitely need to know.
No better.
Because you
do
can
better.
reach your people
That's
on your
it.
website, and we also reaching out people and those questions. You know what I mean?
It's all the same.
Because we have these conversations on POPcast all the time,
Yeah.
but obviously we don't know the nitty gritty of it, and that's where you're gonna come in. You know what I mean?
Happily. And if I
Yeah.
don't know, I know the answers. I can find the answers. So
Thank you,
Okay.
Munya.
No, I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
you guys. Thank you so
That's
much.
so dope. Thank you so much. And
I
there you
will.
have it. Munyaradzi.
There we
Yeah.
go. Munyarazi
Chanetsa.
Chanetsa.
Chanetsa. What does the surname mean?
Problem.
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 It's a problem, sis. Anyway, that was an amazing conversation with Munya.
Yeah.
I know you are also sitting there thinking like, yo, it's a lot of information.
I'm trying to. There is a capitalistic money making avenue here.
100%. That's everything he spoke about is money. And if you don't understand it, you can't make money off of what he's saying. And you as an artist, literally you're creative of you going in and repeating the same line 50 times and it's a hit. You are the one who's supposed to be making money.
Jim
It's
Jones
as
is also saying,
simple
a lot
as
of people
that.
talk about these masters, I own my publishing, but you don't know what to do. with them.
Exactly. Because I think that's another conversation. Maybe we can also check it out on that Moti website of
Yes.
his. Is there a time, I actually should have asked this, is there a time where it's beneficial for you to not own your master? Because the conversation of owning it and owning it is like, okay, like you're saying, what do you do, with it for you to actually earn from it? But sometimes you own it and then nothing happens and
Sure.
it gathers dust.
Sure.
You could just give it to somebody else to own it and they're the ones who are going to work it and still make you money.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
I feel you.
But those are big conversations. Obviously, you can still hit us up on the comment section if you have questions for Munya, and maybe we can send them through to him and he'll be able to get back at you one way or another, maybe on social media or come back to our comments page.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, shout outs to Munya for coming through for today. Please do check out his website, MOTI Africa. And thanks to you, Scoopy.
For what?
For being here.
Thanks to you guys for checking us out.
Because you could have been anywhere in the world.
But you're here with us and we appreciate it.
Come on.
Loving what we're doing.
Yes, we'll be back again next week. You can check us out right here on our YouTube channel, POPcast for real. Please do subscribe. Keep on commenting. Join us in the live chat and just let's make this thing bigger. Let's make the circle bigger.